Hi, I'm Paul. Welcome back to my channel. In today's episode, I want to compare my Fender American original 70s Telecaster Custom with this 1975 Fender Telecaster Custom. Looking back, the 70s today are considered to be a decade that saw a steady decline in quality in Fender guitars. Fender themselves are probably the first to admit that, which brings us to the American original 70s Telecaster Custom. One of the ideas behind this guitar is that some of the 70s design choices by Fender, like the 3-bolt neck joint and the so-called tilt neck, weren't actually that bad, but only badly executed. In the beginning of 2021, I was able to get my hands on this Telecaster Custom, which according to a serial number search was made in 1975. So this is the first guitar that I ever played that is actually older than me. It has had compensated saddles installed and the jack plug has been replaced, but apart from that, it's pretty much original. If you pick the two instruments up, you'll immediately notice some major differences. The neck on the American original feels a lot more chunky than the 75, and it has a slab rosewood fretboard with a 9.5-inch radius. The neck of the 75 actually feels quite modern and slimmer in comparison with its laminated veneer fretboard. However, it does have a more vintage-correct 7.25 radius. The other major difference is the thickness of the body, as the 75 is thinner than the American original. But I don't want to go into too much detail here. I'll be posting more info and pictures on my website. In this video, we want to focus on the sounds, but let's have a quick look at the specs before we dive in. Okay, so as usual, I'll start with the bridge pickup. This is my clean sound. I got the Boss SD1 set up. Let's go. On to the middle position, and this time I'm going straight into the Princeton. Next up, we have the neck pickup. One of the marketing points of the American original Telecaster Custom is its wide-range neck humbucker. It's a recreation of the original set lever design of the early 70s, where the magnets are made from a special alloy called Cunife. This consists of copper, nickel and iron and seems to be pretty hard to source, which is the main reason why Fender discontinued its use up until the introduction of the American original Telecaster Custom. Since the wide-range Cunife design is pretty unique to the Telecaster Custom and its sister design, the Telecaster Deluxe, I want to have a closer listen here. We are going to hear some rhythm sounds, then we'll hear some lead sounds against the backdrop of some pre-recorded music, and last but not least, some clean tones. I'll be using the Okko Diablo Overdrive on the rhythm examples and the Boss Waza Metal Zone on the solo parts. Let's roll. Okay, so this is my clean sound, and with the Okko Diablo. So as you can hear, I'm pushing the amp quite a bit. Okay, so let's move on and hear some clean sounds. I'm going straight into the amp on input number 1. I like the saturation I get from that input, even though the second input is actually the one which is voiced more towards a higher output guitars or humbuckers. You know what? I'm going to switch on the tremolo as well. Yeah, nice. You know what? I think I'll plug in my 92 Les Paul Standard just to have a comparison with the Gibson style humbucker. Yeah, I hear a bit more mid-range here and of course less high-end. And a bit more output, I think so. Okay, so let's move on to the conclusion. So now that we've heard the sounds, here are my final thoughts. Obviously, the 75 sounds brighter across the board than the American original. However, it doesn't sound harsh or shrill to me. If you dialed in your sound right, it will give you great results. I also think that Seth Lover did a great job balancing the neck humbucker against the standard bridge pickup, and it makes the Telecaster Custom a very versatile guitar. The American original, in contrast, doesn't have the same high-frequency content. When coming from the 75, I sometimes wished it was voiced brighter. However, you can easily dial in a sound to make it work in different sonic situations, and I really appreciate the American original in its own right. I also think you can hear a lot of similarities between the two Telecasters, especially on the wide-range neck humbucker. As far as the build is concerned, I think the slab fretboard of the American original adds a nice touch, but the neck does feel quite chunky and it's rather uncomfortable to play if you like to use your thumb a lot for the root notes. In that regard, I actually think the V-shaped neck of my Fender Telecaster Modified is a good example of a neck design that gives you a vintage feel with more accessibility to the fretboard. On the plus side, I have to say that I had the feeling that the American original produced a touch more sustain in some of the examples I presented here, especially on the lead sound in the neck position. However, of course, there's lots of ways like dialing more gain or compression to remedy this if the lack of sustain is a problem. As you can see, the American original is not a copy or clone of the initial design. To me, it feels more like a remix influenced by what a lot of players today expect from a vintage spec guitar. So the American original feels a bit like a 50s Telecaster with the 70s Custom electronics, which is funny considering that the 75 Custom actually feels quite modern today with its slim body and neck, and it's also considerably lighter. So this was my comparison of the two Telecaster Customs. I'd be happy if you leave a comment below and let me know what you think. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel. Take care and bye bye.